Greetings to all. This is Johnson, North Wales. Time for the April 2019 build video. The Alexeyev I-211 built as the AL-2. The Alexeyev I-211 was a Soviet twin-engine jet fighter built in the late 1940s. Two prototypes were constructed with the designation I-211, of which one was converted into the I-215 with more powerful engines. A third aircraft was built to evaluate the bicycle landing gear arrangement for use in other aircraft. The fighter was not accepted for production as it was inferior to swept-wing type fighters like the MiG-15. The story would have ended it there, and Alexeyev did go on to become the father of the Russian Ikrano plan and headed up that area. However, it was realized that the type had the potential in the ground attack role. Rather than invest more time and money in the project, a design team headed up by Ivan Kraksparov was sent to China to develop the type and develop the Chinese aircraft industry capability using modified to fit locally produced copies of the Klimov VK1 engine, the Wopen WP5R2. The type saw some limited service, so problems persisted with performance. Visibility was much praised as it helped pilots to quickly locate emergency landing sites. Pilots noted the vibration from the two cannon could be strongly felt through the seat. The female pilots requested an increase in ammunition capacity. Due to the engines, the Chinese dubbed the type Gasping Dragon. The AL-2s were soon transferred to North Korea, where it gasped on into the 1970s. In 1955, Kraksparov defected with Chinese insistence to the West, where it is believed he made valuable contributions to projects such as the Vought F-7U Cutlass, the Rockwell V-12, before leading the weight and stress team for the Boeing 2707 supersonic airliner. This was followed by Spellett Douglas. He retired to Alaska, but has denied all rumors that he had been awarded the Order of Lenin for his contribution to the US aircraft industry. Here's some info on the aircraft itself. What I would suggest doing is just pausing this and reading it more as your leisure. I mean, the type was very similar in many ways to the Gloucester Meteor, and that comes out there in the stats. I certainly didn't have the same real longevity as the classic Meteor. So here's a few pics of the aircraft. The graceful lines are quite evident, and I understand that the undercarriage enabled the angle to be adjusted as well, which was quite interesting. So certainly a fascinating time. I bought the kit a year or so back from Hannon's shop in London near Hendon Aircraft Museum for £14. Though basic, the quality of the sprues isn't too bad, with recessed panel lines and some fine details. There are no alignment, pins or slots. And you can see a bit more there, the engines. Fit of them was quite fiddly. The decals I decided to use of the Airfix one, so the decal sheet is okay, but I use the Airfix leftover decals from the MiG-15. Construction began with the fuselage and the nose weights. Time is needed to be taken on alignment, and I do tend to overcompensate with my nose weights, but she does sit okay. The pilot was also a spare Airfix figure, and the cockpit painting was kept fairly simple and basic. I really didn't want to spend too much time over it, and yeah, it's a shelf model, so not a competition model. The lower nose needed some shim strips and a lot of sanding and test fitting. That was a really awkward area where the nose undercarriage bay. I used Squadron and Deluxe Products putty. The Squadron putty needed more drying time, but it's better for the heavy gaps and steps. Many of the seams were filled, sanded and reworked, and there was considerable rescribing, one of those repeat until it looks right processes. The pilot fits in with no problems, which is a nice change, as most need surgery to fit into a 1/72nd scale cockpit. So I was actually quite happy with that. I found some small spare parts for the wingtip tanks and a basic radar unit, just to busy the airframe up a little bit and make it look a little bit more interesting. I applied light blue undercoat to contrast with the grey plastic to help me see the remaining surface issues, and there were plenty, so more filling, sanding, rescribing. After a full grey base coat, I applied Vallejo 71008 pale blue underside, and then Vallejo 71112 US sand, before masking with white tack. The stripes were shades of brown and mid-green, followed by some manual tidying up. I also added some dark grey stripes by hand, but that was not a good idea. I think that part, the hand painting, ruined it a bit for me. Throughout my projects, Miggs the cat pops in to maintain a watch in case of guarded incursion, so I can focus on the bench. I highlighted the panel lines with Flory Pro Modeler wash on a base of Johnson's Clear, and tidied up any dodgy spots with this. The FX decals gave no problems and settled down well with Microset and Microsol. I used the North Korean ones. After decaling, I applied Tamiya weathering powders to blend the decals in and to soften the tones. The final coat of Tamiya XF86 flat clear sealed the surface. I then drilled out the gun ports and attached the dangly bits like landing gear and munitions. So there you have it, finished. You can also see I added a fairly prominent aerial as well. I decided not to go for the aerial wires, thinking that the type would have been updated a little bit to eliminate the needs for those. And I admit I've probably overdone it with the munitions as well, but I don't know, to me it looks okay. It's not gone on the shelf with the other Russian types because it is a what-ifer. I'm happy with how it looks, even though, yeah, it's a bit too heavily loaded, to be fair. In light of the frustrations and delays on the Su-34 build that battered my mojo a bit, aided and abetted by other recent challenges away from the bench, this was an enjoyable what-if build of a nice-looking type. I felt the Alexeyev I-211 is a great airframe to have fun with as a modeler, as its simple, neat lines lend it to conversion. As with most A-model kits, you have to accept that it requires some extra effort to get the best out of them. But to me, they are and remain well worth it, and it's certainly one of my favourite kit manufacturers. Thank you for watching. Happy modelling. God bless. Chancellor North Wales signing out.